build service track again. First, I will just do a very brief overview of the build service. I will not bore you about all the details as he is before, and we will specialize on what we are doing at the moment and where we want to go. Who has used the build service in this room already? Who wanted to use it? And you failed? Or you want in the future to use it? Okay. Okay. So for now I'll just make a brief overview. Afterwards, Andreas Bauer will talk a bit about the web interface where we are going to, and together with Robert. And later on we will make a workshop also how the best practices are for packaging and so on. And beside of that, you can of course find us always at the booth, and we can help you with building your stuff. So just a brief overview why we did started to work on the build service at all is we wanted to open up the OpenSUSE distribution development in the public. With the OpenSUSE project, the complete distribution development should become public. Everybody should be able to take part. The system we still use for generating our distributions is a system which was never intended to run on a public service. It's a pure in-house development, and it works also only if you have NFS and such stuff. So we see the need that we needed a new system, and we saw all the problems we have with our old one, and we want to do it better. Besides of that, this is such a public service. Completely new opportunities are there, but we can offer more for people and attract more people to come to us. We wanted really to make it easy to make packages, not that it's just only an expert job. Of course, also experts should be able to use it, but it should become also easy for an individual developer who has no clue about packaging. He's maybe a very clever developer, knowing C++ perfectly, but even these people have or don't want to learn everything about spec files and so on because it's not interesting for them. Another thing is we want to increase the transparency how we at all develop a distribution. This is very important because it's a very complex process, and especially when you want to make or to allow other people to create derivatives of a distribution, it must be very transparent that everybody knows how we can modify, how we can influence the distribution building. And just a single Perl script which do some magic hacks is not what we understand in transparency. The other thing what we get is to attract more developers. Developers want to spread out their software to their users. So with the build service we have a system where everybody can really easily create software, release it any minute he wants to, and as long as we have enough resources in our system, he gets immediately built packages, and all his users can get these packages. So it's really a one-button thing in the end, and the users get always the latest software, so he can reduce his turnaround cycles a lot and get way better and make way faster feedback. And of course, we want to get the contact with all the open source communities. We want that they come to us, we want to offer them something what they don't have yet, and we hope also that they give us something from them, because when they work with our system, we get also the latest, greatest software. And the last point is a complete different view. This is a view of the end users. The end user doesn't care about how packaging works. He wants to have latest software, he wants to get new software, he wants to learn about new cool stuff he never has seen yet, and he wants to install it easily. So in the end, the build service has two phases. One is the developer side. Developers put in sources, they add some modifications to existing sources. For instance, they add a multimedia patch to the kernel. The QA folks tries to automate, or wants to try to automate the tests so that they don't have manual work, that they get their quality checks at any time redone if some developer is changing something. And the distribution definition is also a topic to be discussed. Very often there is a case, hey, add this package and remove this package or update and so on. And all this process should be also become transparent and be there in a part of the config file. On the other hand, the end user needs to have a place where it's optimized for him, so he sees all the software, it should be attractive for him. And what's the advantage of this is when you connect these systems is that there's a feedback channel. So what already is there is if someone builds a package there, builds a project, he sees how many people are installing it. Because it's a download director, he counts how many people clicked on it, the Yast or Yum or whatever installer used the URLs, and you report this back to the developer. So at the end, when they are from the same package, different flavors, for instance, there's the K3B plain, then there's the K3B with additional great patches, you can see what the people are really using and what they prefer from these flavors. What helps us to optimize our distribution to use the best one. So the build service itself. The build service itself is a set of servers. Servers that connect to the internet, that provide the interfaces, and that behind these there are build systems which build always the software which get uploaded. Or because you have changed some package below, upper packages may need a rebuild. Because when we upload, for instance, a new compiler, everything needs to get rebuilt because a new compiler most likely has some effect on our packages. As tools, there's phase to the outside is the API. On top of that, there are multiple interfaces. One is the web interface. Other one is a very important tool is the command line interface. The command line interface runs on your system, on your workstation, and allows you to do things which are not really easy doable on the server side. For instance, you can set up the build process as it's done on the server, also on your workstation with a one-liner. This is important, for instance, when the build fails and the log file doesn't explain you really what happens, what went wrong. So see, you can redo the build on your workstation and jump in and really find out what's really getting wrong. And in the end, upload the sources again. So OC is a very SVN-like command tool, very easy to use, at least for developers. So the build service was not completely open in the beginning, but we worked hard, and it's a really complete open source solution now. So it is as open as we can get it in any phase. The complete source code is free and open. It's available under GPL v2 license at the moment. Our instance has, of course, the API open for everybody, so you can control all our build jobs on the server via REST commands. It's HTTP commands, you can script it via curl, you can integrate it in any existing tools. Of course, you can also use a command line client to communicate with the server. A very important and strategic decision was not to limit it to SUSE-based distributions. And actually, it's also not limited to RPM-based distributions. So we built already for Debian in deb format if you upload a Debian description, and we built for various RPM-based distributions. Since lately, we support even the Red Hat Enterprise server, besides the SUSE Enterprise server, of course. So, independent if you are building for Debian, for Ubuntu, for Mandriva, for various OpenSUSE, for the SUSE Linux Enterprise, or for Red Hat Enterprise, you can upload your source once, and if it works, as long as your source works, it builds for all distribution at once. The integration with existing web pages, that means that you have some homepage somewhere about your software project and you want to show what's currently active in the build service. This could be nicer. This is just possible via links, but you can have direct links to the software and build service where your users can install it. If your users using an OpenSUSE-based distribution, they can do it with a one mouse click. It's really easy. Thanks to Benji. The project model creates the power of the build service in the end. This is a concept. I just want to briefly mention it here. It was founded because of the reason, for one thing, we want to stabilize our core distribution. We want to have it high quality. We want to have it reviewed sources only, so that it's not broken all the time, that no evil things happen inside, so that really every developer can trust this distribution. On the other hand, we want to enable everybody to submit sources immediately. Everybody shall be allowed and is allowed right now to upload sources and to build their stuff immediately, and they get the results immediately, to feed their packages to their users. For that reason, in the build service we have workspaces. Everybody gets its own workspace and people can organize themselves again in workspaces. So if you are a group of 5 people, you can found one workspace. You can define who should be able to change something inside. You can upload the sources and stuff, and you can define for what do you want to build. And you can already use it as a collaboration tool to build and to work together on your projects. Just an example visualization. It's a very simple example. So there is a KDE4 project. Actually, meanwhile, there are multiple KDE4 projects. In this KDE4 project, there are a number of sources. And the project defines for what it gets built. So if someone changes something in KDE base, for instance, it gets rebuilt for OpenSUSE 10.2, OpenSUSE Factory, Debian, whatever. In this example, the number of people started to work also on a project, and they wanted to build Amarok. Amarok Head needs KDE4. Problem is, if they build it directly against OpenSUSE 10.2, it will not build because there is no KDE for OpenSUSE. Now, the nice thing of this project model is now you can stack it. So they can reuse the existing work of the KDE4 people and build against them. Everything what's not inside here gets taken from OpenSUSE 10.2. But it's no reason to duplicate the work. If there are groups which do part of that what you need, you can reuse it. The project model in the end is way more complex. You can do really interesting and cool stuff, but it would be a longer talk. So the current situation is everybody can go to build OpenSUSE. It's the same account as we use for the wiki or for the Bugzilla. You get an account immediately if you don't have one yet. You can upload your sources. You can create your project, and depending on what you are uploading, you get packages immediately. The packages get distributed to mirrors who want to mirror it. The packages are available really fast for your users. The end user can search it, what's there in our build service. This interface is relatively simple. We want to work later on this one. Maybe we integrate it with a planned community portal, which is done by Pascal Gläser and Benji and Francis, I believe. What we are working on at the moment is to make it, to improve the collaboration system. So that means that really more people are really work better together, and especially to contribute also directly to our upstream distribution. Factory is our upstream distribution. For several reasons, we do not want to allow everybody to write directly to our upstream distribution because, for instance, we need a trusted-based distribution. So that if everybody can change something there and steal your credit cards forever, it's not that this distribution would be trusted anymore. Therefore, we make a system where you can prepare your branch, you can prepare your package and request afterwards to merge it back so it gets reviewed. This works not only with the factory distribution, this works between all projects. So if you start a project and some random guy found a bug there, you may get a merge request because he fixed something. And as usual, if he makes good contribution, you can add him so he can directly work on your project. Another interesting thing is inter-build service instant communication. This would allow us that when you have an own idea what you want to build, and it's a large project, for instance, you want to rebuild our complete distributions but for MIPS CPUs, and we don't offer MIPS in our infrastructure. Then you can set up your own build service. We have already packages there, so it's easy to install, and you can rebuild the distribution in your definition, in your environment, in your either public or in your in-house development. Another important thing is GUI should become more user-friendly. Andreas and Robert will talk about that afterward. We are working on integrating the image building. It's important that we can make the complete distribution building part of it, so that the ISO images should be generated as well. Class is working on the notifications so that you don't need to poll anymore what's changing, that you can subscribe, give me all changes, for instance, all source changes in OpenSUSE Factory, and you get notified. And of course, the general improvements. These are just a list of what I see possible, what we work on later this year, but not sure. Of course, to complete more the distribution build support, this means especially the maintenance handling, so that we can provide security updates also. Important thing is also the trust system. This is what we really lack at the moment. An end user has at the moment not really a good chance to decide if he can trust the software which is there or not. He can see in which project it's built, he can see the people who have write access there, and he can decide if he trusts these people or not. But in most cases, he does not know these people. So therefore, a system which rates these people would help us a lot. And then the end user can say he needs for this system a level of something, otherwise he do not like to install it. So such a trust system would help us a lot. Another important thing which became more important lately is the LSP conform builds. LSP defines a set of libraries and APIs, and if you only use them, theoretically your application, your package should run on every Linux distribution. The problem is how to guarantee this. There are tools out there which try to validate this and so on, but it's really hard to build LSP conform package, and we think we can help there a lot by offering a target which really tells you what you shouldn't use and that you can fix it until it's really LSP conform. So if you succeed in this environment to build a package, you can be relatively sure that it works on all LSP, and these are most Linux distributions today. Yeah, and we want to integrate also the QA and a QA interface that automated test cases after each build can get run, and we see differences. So if a new compiler breaks something, we would see it directly. There of course are lots of ideas collected in the wiki. In general, if you want to have a look at it, go to build.opensuse.org. That's a web interface, and there are links to documentation, to the IRC channel and the mailing list if you have further questions. Or at FOSDEM, of course, come to our booth and we show you something if you have questions. I help you build the package. Thank you very much. I want to hand over to Andreas and Robert.
Andreas Bauer, and today I'm talking about the web client of the OpenSUSE build service, specifically about the design of the web client, and how we want to improve it to make it more usable for especially beginning users that don't want to use the command line interface for any reason, or I'm having this talk with Robert Lee. He's the designer for the build service, and also for the other OpenSUSE software pages, like the software OpenSUSE.org and users OpenSUSE.org and wiki. Together with Frank Sundermeier, he designed the general look and feel of those web pages, and he will also talk about what they thought while designing those things and why they designed it. Okay. The general outline is I will first talk about the current design and how it is lacking, and then Robert will talk about the basics of the web design of the OpenSUSE pages, and after that I will talk about what is changed, what is planned to change, and then we will have a short demonstration about what we are working right at the moment. This is heavily work in progress, so it's it doesn't. You will see later. Okay. First about the problems. Generally, when we started to develop the build service, we didn't have a really good plan how to design a web page for this, and so we started developing the underlying system, and on top of that, while developing the systems, develop the web pages. And therefore, the web pages are heavily based on the underlying data model, like the project model Adrian talked about. And therefore, it's not very it's not very intuitive to use. You have to have a basic understanding of how the underlying model works to use the pages. For example, we split the project page and the package pages. They look like completely different, or they look like different pages, where they could be combined in one page, or the relation between those between a package and a project could be more obvious in those pages. Another thing is, it's grown with development, as I said, and the navigation is not really consistent. Like, for example, to add a new project, you can create a sub-project, and if you this would add a project below this project, like home /Bowersman something else, like test. And to create a project outside of this namespace, you would have to navigate to the project list, click on all projects, including home projects, and then navigate to the bottom, and then you have create new project, which is it's a bit strange, I'd say. And also we have navigation up here. We have navigation at the sidebar, and it's not really. You don't know at the first step where you find where you want to go. This is what we want to investigate a little bit, how one would move on this web page and improve. Okay. Next thing is I will hand over to Robert, and he will talk about the general OpenSUSE web design.
Do you hear me? Here we see the three main pages from OpenSUSE. This is the wiki, or the green theme used as well in the shop and news OpenSUSE.org. The orange one is from software, and the gray one is used from the build service. But as you can see, they always have the same concept. You have the upper part, which is for orientation and global navigation, local navigation, which means you have web page specific stuff like wiki pages in or the same wiki page in other languages. You have, if there is one, personal navigation, and you have this in the wiki and in the build service, for example. And if there is a search, or a search for the whole page, it's placed here and for a content area. Oh, okay. Here it's in use. So you see, you have the logo of OpenSUSE. You have these. It's not so good to see, but you have this OpenSUSE box where you have all OpenSUSE pages. These boxes on all OpenSUSE pages. So if you get lost in hyperspace, this is your anchor. Where this is the specific, what do you call it?
Navigation.
Yeah, local navigation. And here you see the wiki-specific stuff, the search, and the content area. The third column is as well a part of content from my point of view. The pages are color-coded, just to give more, make it easier for people with, for example, few tabs open in Mozilla, so that they see, okay, this tab is my wiki, because I have a green icon in the tab, as a fav icon, for example. I have an orange page, Almond software, and so on. Community, OpenSUSE is using Glue as well, because it's about users. So we try to keep this color model and make it easier for people to navigate and to know where they are. Yeah, that was my first part.
Okay. Now the things we want to change on the web client is first thing, we want to make the web client more focused on the starting users, or the users not used to the command line, because the more advanced users have OC as a very powerful tool, our command line interface. This means that not every functionality will be there in the web client. It's just basic, like creating packages, create new projects, search for packages, change properties, specific properties which are easy to change, like description or the name of the project, not the name, title of the project. And more advanced stuff will be available via OC and via direct editing of the metadata, which is XML data. Another thing we want to work on is an easier way to see the status of packages. What we have now is, we have here on this area, if this would be the real service, you would see numbers of packages that failed, or that are broken, or that are in a specific state. Right now this is not possible because it's a build service running on this machine locally, and it has no real backend, so there are no real results, and we can see. Also we have the monitor page, and what we thought about is maybe make the different repositories one has available via tabs, and color code these tabs to reflect the general state of packages belong to this repository. This is just a thought, and as with the other things, we will try to implement it and then put it online. And if it works, we'll keep it. If it doesn't work, we'll change it. Okay, another thing is we don't want to show actions that users can't execute on specific actions or on specific projects they look. For example, now I am in my home project, which I can fully edit. I can create sub-projects. I can delete the project. I can edit the information and can add packages. I can just do anything. If I now go to another project, like for example Apache, you see I'm not mentioned here in the maintainers tab, which means I don't have any rights. But you cannot. I see the links to delete the project, to add packages, and edit information. This is a bit confusing to users because they think they can do stuff, but in reality they can't. So this is what we want to change. This needs a bit of work on the backend side also, because we have to export this data, but this is also a work in progress. Another thing is, like, what we want to do is guessing the project packages a certain user wants to work on. This means, for example, right now, I have the ability to go directly to my home project, and I have the ability to see a list of all projects in the build service, and that's it. What we want to do is also create lists for projects I'm involved in, like for example, this test project. I'm also a maintainer, and right now I have only the possibility to find this project by either adding it to the watch list, to my watch list, or navigating to the complete project list. And we want to show a list of projects where I am where one user is added as a maintainer, and then therefore make it possible to quickly go to the project I'm interested in. Also, what we think about is creating a list of projects where a user has recently changed something or has recently viewed. This is also probably a project he might be interested in. So what we want is show this on the user's homepage. The user's homepage is at the moment not used very much, so we want to show those lists on this page. Okay, more things is making certain actions on projects, for example, available when editing a package. This is like I said previously. When I choose to edit a package, the project page completely disappears, and I have as reference point I only have this link up there. You can see, and yeah, this text here. But what would be possible, for example, is that parts of the information will still be shown on the upper page, on the upper part of this page, and the package details on the lower page. Okay. And also, we want to more heavily use in-place editing instead of linking to a dedicated edit page, because this reduces the different pages the user sees. And for example, when I want to add a user, right now it opens a completely different page. What could also happen is, like in many web.o pages, you see like clicking on add user and then popping up a form right below that using heavy JavaScript or whatever. And we want to do this more in the web client in the future. Okay. Okay. Now this is yeah. I'll pass over to Robert.
Okay, in the few last weeks, months, we work on the new repository page. It will be the managed repository page in the future. And what we did is that you now can see the recent repositories you often use. And you can, oh, sorry. And you see you have over there a box titled with your selection. And you can just,
yeah.
And you can just drag and drop it over and add it. It's a test machine. It's not so.
Yeah, it should appear there, of course. Doesn't. I knew that something like this would happen.
We made this is
okay.
a part of the concept. Yeah. Just want to make some life hacking.
Okay. This might be because this is Conqueror. Yeah.
But we would not call it alpha. Yeah, it's very far away from this point.
Okay, little improvement. That, yeah.
Well, okay, normally it would. Normally you just take it, drag it to the drop zone, and and that means you add a repository. You have it in your in your drop zone, and you can, or you will be able in the future to add more other repositories to these repositories we made, and it's just that the idea behind this is just to use natural movement or things. Just if you want something, take it and drag it to your box. Like, I don't know, I walk through a shop and I want an apple, I take an apple and drop it to my wagon or a trolley. And yeah, can you show the filtering? Okay, doesn't work.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, this.
It will be online. Yeah, we're online soon. But that is what we want to do with, or not. This is what we want to do, but this is a taste of this. What we want to do with the build service, that you just can do things and not have to think about what's the way how I can interact with these web GUI.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you have ideas, questions, something, or want to say that we are doing very good work, you can just contact us. Just any questions or suggestions after we know?
Where do the colors come from? Your repository page, the SUSE was green. And
yeah. I wake up in the morning, make me my coffee, and thought orange is great.
I think
these ones? Oh, that are from the distributions. So I went to the Fedora page or the Debian page and took a red or blue from the page they use for mainly in the pages. So it's easier for I don't know, for Debian user to find his distro.
So the idea is that the project can define a specific color in the project?
No, those repositories you see in this list, these are predefined by us.
Yeah.
Those are the I call them base repositories. They contain a complete distribution. They provide this distribution to build packages upon them. For example, you see all the different OpenSUSE distributions like Fedora 7, Fedora 8. What you could also do is, I will show this on the old page. This is basically the equivalent to this list. This is as it is at the moment, and the build service has many repositories more, because every project that creates a new repository can be used by another project to build against, which means I think Adrian mentioned this quickly. You can have a project that, for example, in my own project, I added a repository using the SUSE factory as a base repository, and this automatically creates another repository which other projects can use themselves. And those won't get color coded at the moment. They will appear. They will appear down there if it would work. And what you could do is filter maybe by KDE, and only projects that have KDE name will appear down there, which makes it much easier to navigate as the old list, which is just a simple list box containing all those repositories. Okay? More questions? Okay, yeah, then thanks for listening and have fun using the build service.